I fancy it's time. Edward, Ruby. Ready, Edward? Very well, Ruby. Right, Edward. Oh, what have you done, girl?
Mr. Hudson, just switch.
No, it's all right, Rose. Is it properly down this time, Daisy?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Ruby, what was you thinking of? If anybody had seen that, they would have thought we was a nest of spies.
Sorry, Mrs. Bridges. It came off at me.
No, never mind, my girl, never mind. There's no harm done.
Well, stop that noise now and go and see about the tea.
Yes, Mrs. Bridges.
Oh, that girl. We ought to send her to fight for the Kaiser. The war'd soon be over then.
I'm glad we used this green stuff. I won't be able to see a thing through it.
Possibly we'll need to put drawing pins in at the side. No inadvertent chinks. That is to be the motto in this household.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Mr. Hudson, you don't seriously think that the Zeppelins are going to get as far as London, do you?
Well, if they do, I'm going to climb up the string and stick a hat pin in them. And if the Kaiser comes over, I'll stick a hat pin in him too.
Quite right, Mrs. Bridges. Though, strictly speaking, I don't believe the Zeppelins have got strings attached. Rose, Edward, Daisy, we will now go and draw the curtains upstairs. Come on, look sharp now.
Georgina didn't come into tea.
No. Billy Linton's on leave. She's gone to a Tay dance-aunt with him.
Well, I suppose that extraordinary form of entertainment will become more popular than ever now. With all the street lamps turned out, people will want to get home early.
I doubt if Georgina will. Yes, Hudson.
If we might draw the curtains, madam.
Rather early, isn't it?
I thought we'd better make sure that the blackout is in order, sir, since I understand that the street lamps are not going to be lit tonight.
I see.
Very well, Hudson.
I trust we're not offending against the Defence of the Realm Act.
I will send Edward outside, sir, to make sure that there are no chinks.
There's another one done. I do hate sewing curtains. I must try and get hold of some more black material for the spare room curtains.
Spare room? You expecting visitors?
Not really. Prudence wants to hold her committee meeting here tomorrow.
Committee?
Her Belgian Refugee Committee.
Now, Hazel, you're... You know, I passed two smartly dressed women in Whitehall yesterday. One said to the other, "Have you got your Belgian refugees yet?" As if it was a new fashion in house furnishing.
But if they have nowhere to go, Richard?
Hazel, no more committees. You've taken on too much already.
Oh, I haven't really. Anyway, I prefer to be kept busy.
I know.
Do you suppose James was at Mons?
Yes, it does seem likely.
I wish he could write more often.
Oh, I expect we shall hear before long.
Things are bad, aren't they?
Quite serious. If the Belgians give up Antwerp without a fight, the Germans will drive straight through to the coast.
That would mean a German invasion?
Well, it will certainly bring the possibility a great deal closer. If only I could take some active part in it all.
You have a voice in Parliament.
Oh, yes, to criticize Asquith for his conduct of the war, which is necessary, I suppose, but which hardly seems patriotic, or even particularly effective. Anyway, don't let Prudence talk you into anything.
I won't.
But they were sweeping snow out of the carriages in Edinburgh, Mr. Hudson.
I dare say they were, Edward, but it was not snow off the boots of Russian soldiers.
But I was talking to this friend of mine in the Crown and Anchor.
Was he there himself?
Well, no, but he was talking to a friend who knew one of the porters.
I dare say.
And there was that ruble they found in the penny in the slot machine near Durham.
Ruby, have you been gossiping with that butcher's boy again? I'm going to fetch the old tapes. Come along, everybody. We've got a nice bit of haddock for our high tea today. Don't let it spoil. Edward, put that paper away.
Mr. Hudson, how comes this then? If it isn't true, how does it get put about? I mean, it's in the paper, clear as daylight. 90,000 Russian soldiers passing through England on their way to France. 90,000?
I mentioned the matter to the master, and he said it was 90,000 eggs.
Eggs?
A cable was sent which read 90,000 dispatched from Archangel. But it was not soldiers, it was eggs.
Oh, yeah, well, they might say that. What, no bacon, Mrs. Bridges?
The mistress says we've all got to economise.
Yeah, that's all very well, but our keep is part of our wages.
Edward, if the greatest sacrifice we have to make is to eat haddock without the customary roll of bacon, we will not have much to complain about.
Well, the war will be over by Christmas anyway.
I wouldn't be too sure of that, Daisy.
How are things on the war front, Mr. Hudson?
Rather grave, Mrs. Bridges, I'm afraid. The German attack has been halted in the River Marne, but Paris is still threatened. And there was a wee hint in the Times today that the Belgians might not be able to hold Antwerp.
Oh.
And it would appear that the Russian army suffered a severe defeat several weeks ago.
I don't know why we're fighting on the same side as them Russians anyway. Nasty lot of anarchists.
The anarchists, Mrs. Bridges, are exiles who, in my opinion, should all be clapped into prison immediately. But it's only natural that we should be allies of the Russians, the Tsar being a cousin of our king.
So is the German Kaiser, isn't he, Mr. Hudson?
There are misalliances, Edward, in every great family.
Well, I don't care what happens as long as Eddie don't get mixed up in it. He may have to, Daisy.
Like Lord Kitchener said, his country needs him.
Hold your tongue, Ruby. If this year prescription comes in, that'll be quite time enough for Edward to go.
I trust that should the need arise, every true Briton will enlist without the need of a conscription, Mrs. Bridges. But in my opinion, that time has not yet come.
I hope it never will.
We shall see, Daisy. For the moment, Edward's duty lies here. Ruby, pepper, please.
Well, I said to Connie Harcourt, I cannot understand these people. I mean, naturally, one keeps one's butler and chauffeur, and for the sake of the horses, one cannot part with one's grooms. Now, I thought we should have sent our under gamekeepers, but Henry said the poachers would become so tiresome.
Well, your husband is a justice of the peace, isn't he? Perhaps he could sentence the poachers to enlist immediately.
And it's no laughing matter, Prudence. We have sent 7 servants from our townhouse alone. And yet here are all these people with their houses full of able-bodied men and refusing to part with them. How old do you suppose the butler is here?
Hudson? Oh, he must be at
No, I
least...
shall have a word, Mrs. Bellamy. She comes from Wimbledon, I believe. Oh, this war is going to be a boon to the middle classes. What with committees and sewing parties, and nobody being too particular, they are going to get in everywhere. Where is Mrs. Bellamy?
Well, Hudson said she'd gone shopping.
I am
but
sorry.
Ah, Hazel, dear. Oh, my dear, I don't think you've met Lady Berkhamston.
How do you do? I would have been here sooner, but on my way back, there was a woman sitting on the doorstep.
What, at this house?
Drunk, I suppose.
No, she was a charwoman.
A charwoman? Why, surely you could have left it to the servants to
She
do.
got a telegram before she left home this morning, saying that her husband had been killed in France. Well, she came to Eaton Square as usual, but on the way home, it came to her. She got as far as here, and then, like suddenly being drowned in grief, I touched her. I spoke to her, and she didn't hear me. I've never seen anyone crying quite so dreadfully.
It's very distressing.
Well, I couldn't just leave her. Mrs. Bridges is giving her some tea in the kitchen.
Well, I think you were quite right to get her off the streets. No, really, these people have absolutely no self-control. Personally, I agree with Mrs. Edward Littleton. Mourning should not be allowed. People should be proud to feel that they have given their nearest and dearest in their country's cause.
Well, perhaps you'll feel that later. Naturally, at first, she's, Well, shall we set to work for our gallant Belgian refugees? Lady Hardcastle was so sorry she couldn't be here. She has her own committee meeting this morning.
Connie would have a committee of her own.
Would you care for coffee to be served, madam?
Yes, please, Edward.
How How old are you?
Me? I'm 25, madam. My lady.
And you are not married?
No, my lady?
Mrs. Bellamy, you really will have to think of sending him to enlist. We all have to make sacrifices, you know. And it is up to people like us to set an example to the others.
Yes. Thank you, Edward.
Mrs. Arthur Harrower is willing to serve on the committee.
Oh, not Mrs. Harrower. A more tiresome, encroaching woman I have yet to meet.
Yes, but she has that large house, and she's willing to take 2 Belgian families.
Oh, well, certainly. I have no objection to her doing that.
Well, you've taken long enough.
What?
Do they want coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on.
The poor creatures are coming over in fishing boats, dredgers, even colliers, anything to get away. Most of them have left all their possessions behind and have only what they stand up in. It's too tragic.
Dreadful.